I have a simple question to ask everyone in this room, including you media people who may be here. Does anyone really think that we should deny medical care to the most vulnerable member of our society? No. A baby that happens to be born in an abortion clinic, born alive, separate from its mother. Well, that is exactly what over 110 members of this legislature wants to do, including, sadly, my own state rep and my state senator. We all know words matter, particularly in legal frameworks. Under current law, Mass General Laws 112, Section 12P reads, if an abortion is performed under 12M, that's 24 weeks or later, the physician must take reasonable steps before and after, including life support equipment to preserve the life of the baby. Under the proposed law, 12P is stricken. These words were removed purposefully. Do not let your legislator tell you that this bill is not about infanticide, because it is. Our founding fathers and mothers, many of whose statues we see around the State House, would be appalled to know what is going on in this country. We are not going to let this proud cradle of liberty become the shameful cradle of death.
Let's hear it from my wife, Bernadette. So folks, what a great turnout. It's so great to see all you folks here today. I served in this chamber, in this building for 8 years as a state representative. And I just want to take a moment to explain to you the process of how people become sponsors of a piece of legislation. Because I want you to assume one thing today when you go around, if you're going around, or if you're talking to your legislators, that they don't understand what Bernadette just told them, which is that this bill actually is infanticide. It's plain and simple. The definition of infanticide, and I want to make sure I quote it correctly, is the killing of a child within a year of birth. That's the definition of infanticide. That's why we call this the Infanticide Act. So when bills are drafted in early January, what happens is the legislators send the bills around to the other legislators and say, hey, would you sponsor this bill? Oftentimes, the legislators who sign on to the bills have never even read the bill. Not only that, if you look at the new bill, you wouldn't know exactly what they were doing. Because these people are clever, and they don't want the truth to be told. And the truth is exactly what is going on here in Massachusetts. The legislature has put in place a piece of legislation that makes it legal for infanticide to exist in Massachusetts. Now, in the last 6 weeks, since we've aggressively together tried to educate our legislators, they have been pushing back and giving us all kinds of reasons, calling us all kinds of names. That's what they do all the time. Because when you expose the truth, they really can't deal with the specific issue. Amen. So the question is real simple, and I would urge the media to ask all of the legislators the very simple question that Bernadette just asked. Is there anyone who really believes we should deny medical care to a newly born baby only because it was born in an abortion clinic? No. Is there anyone in this room that thinks that? No. There's no one in this room, and I'm telling you right now, there's no legislator that can defend that. They will tell you this is medical, they call it health care now. What about the health care of the child? What about the health care of the child? health care for all except a newborn baby? It's an outrage, and it's an outrage. And they have tried to hide the truth. And it is our job to go and speak the truth. And we don't have to do that in a way that makes everybody all upset. We just have to go in and ask the simple question. The question that Bernadette just posed. Do you really believe in your heart that we should deny medical care to a newborn baby? Would we deny medical care to a newborn baby in a hospital?
No.
Would we deny medical care to a newborn baby that was born on the highway and an EMT came up to see the baby? Would they say, we're not going to take care of that child? But yet, this piece of legislation does that. It also does another thing. It extends the period in Massachusetts for when an abortion can take place. Now, the people on the left also have an argument for that, and it's not true. Their argument is the only reason they want it is because if a mother has been detected with what they refer as a fatal fetal abnormality. Well, the fact of the matter is, according to Galtmeister Institute, which is a pro-abortion advocacy group for Planned Parenthood, their own words say that late-term abortions have nothing to do with fatal fetal abnormalities. Yet that is the argument that they want you to believe. All we have to do is speak the truth. That's untrue, and it is true that they are creating legislation that legalizes infanticide. And they don't like to hear that, but it's the truth. The other thing I want you to know, I served on the Public Health Subcommittee in the legislature for 6 years. And one of the things that the legislature passed was they made it illegal for anyone under 18 to go to a tanning salon. Under 18 to go into a tanning salon. The same people on the Public Health Committee is trying to pass in this bill legislation that would relinquish parental involvement in a young woman having an abortion. It's madness. I would look at them at subcommittee meetings and I would say, so let me see if I understand this. It's not okay for a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old or a 13-year-old or a 12-year-old or a 17-year-old to go into a tanning salon in Massachusetts. But you people think it's okay for a 12 to a 17-year-old young girl to have an abortion without parental involvement? That is madness. I want to share one more story and then I'll turn it over because I know it's getting hot.
Door open.
So at one of those subcommittee hearings, there was a senator there who was supporting dropping the legislation and eliminating the age consent. And I asked him a question. I said, Senator, do you know what the definition of abortion is? For the Massachusetts General Law, section 122, chapter 12. And he said, of course I do. I said, well, why don't you share it with the committee? And he said, well, I just don't know it off the top of my head. I said, okay, so I pulled it out. I happened to have it in my pocket. And I said, the definition of abortion per section 122, chapter 12K, is the willful destruction of an unborn child. The willful destruction of an unborn child. The senator got up, he got so angry, he said, I was just showboating and lying and trying to make a scene. I said, no, Senator, that's the law. And you know what that senator told me? He said, well, if that's the law, we're going to change it. And that's exactly what they're doing. And the reason they're doing it is because they can. And it is our job to do our work to educate the public, and more importantly, right now, to educate our representatives and senators. So I congratulate each and every one of you. I urge you to continue this fight. This is a fight we cannot and will not lose. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jim.